So you know that it's time for you to transition. You know, you dealing with this. What happened that ultimately got you locked up?
Me. So what happens is if you become a person that manages to make money, that's when it get interesting. Life get harder. Everybody's gonna look to you for guidance. It could be your the oldest member of your
They
family.
calling you big homie.
Yo,
Big homie.
got an emergency, and that emergency becomes your emergency. And you care so much that you have to take everybody's, like, it's like a scene from The Godfather. Like, you got to hear everybody request out, right? You start to believe that you were sent here to be this kind of sacrifice. You give yourself permission to be the sacrifice. So now, even if you had intent on doing good, being everybody's go-to becomes your main priority, because one, you don't know your self-worth. That part is so key to knowing what you're supposed to be saying yes to and what you are supposed to be saying no to, and when you're supposed to separate yourself from this crowd or hang more with that crowd. So I don't care how much I decided to say, well, I'm going to be positive. If a request of me came and it was so strong that I had to consider it, I would then make a consideration to do wrong again to make sure that go right for them. So they need they money for their business, and this one need money for college, and I'm gonna be like, well, you supposed to be in college and you supposed to have a business, and I'm supposed to die because I already made these decisions. And just like that, you could be that close to transitioning and take a step back and try to do something again that might be a detriment to your good health and well-being, for lack of better terms.
So what describe the day you went to jail? Like, what happened?
All right. So first I went to jail. It's funny. Well, not funny. Nothing's funny.
Nothing's funny.
Nothing's funny. So I get a phone call. We just finished up some bundles. My man, his people wasn't around, so I didn't really play with Ron that much. But in this particular occasion, my man ain't have nothing, and he asked me to make a phone call. I made a phone call and got some shit for him. Cool. Give me the little change. I breeze off, go to my block, chilling. I get a distress call, like, yo, man, these dudes is circling the block, whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, all right. Let me double back and get the joint real quick. Jump in the car, cruising down to his block. I see this girl that, she used to be at an apartment that if all goes wrong that day, I might run in this apartment if I just so happen to do something that's beyond my normal action, right? So cool. Jump out the car, and I'm telling her, yo, I have this door open in case I come back over here in a hurry. I ain't explaining to her why the door need to be open, but I might need to shoot up here. As I'm speaking to her, DTs is running at me. I'm like, oh, before long, I kind of brushed one so hard that he fell. Other one jumped on me. They jumped me, grabbed the gun like they knew it was there. I don't know how they was that good, but they grabbed the gun like, oh, he got the gun. So they took the gun or whatever. I got locked up. No problem. I wasn't that heavy or nothing to really be fighting or three niggas. So whatever. So I get locked up with the gun, and my man gets shot. So the dude that I was going to save, I didn't go save him.
He ends up getting shot.
He ends up getting shot 3 times, and he lived, but he got shot. And I get out. I go back to get my property, and the detectives come like, yo, we saved your life, man. I'm like, really? How so? Like, yo, we know where you was going. I'm like, really? Where was I going? Oh, you was going to see dude. I'm like, yeah? Nah. Like, yeah. He said, now think about it this way. You could have made it there, shot somebody, killed somebody, and we would have had to catch you. Or you could have got shot with him and possibly died. You don't never view things in that
reality,
right.
and just the plain common sense of it.
Right.
Because when you in it shit, we don't deal with common sense. It
Right.
don't really be that common sometimes.
It don't be that common. And even if it's that plain, it's just not real.
It's not realistic.
It's not real. Only thing is real is what you said you could do.
I be thinking about that shit. Yeah, when I was young, and I used to get into so much trouble doing shit, and now I know how to avoid trouble. It's really nothing for me to not get into trouble. Right. I know how to completely stay away. And when I was young, I used to be like, damn, why I'm always in shit? Right. Because I was in shit.
You was in shit.
Because I was around shit. I was just doing shit, and I put myself in a proximity to always get into some bullshit. Now, with levels of wisdom, it's like, I'm not doing that. The possibility of me getting caught up in that is zero. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why the fuck you don't see that then? Yeah. Why do you find yourself in it feels like a perpetual state of bullshit.
Right. And I tell people, I ain't do nothing. I ain't had nothing to do with it. I'm like, but you raised the probability so I didn't just so happen to get labeled with the robberies in junior high school. Junior high school. The kids that hung with me. So when they blame me, that was proximity to the problem. I was a part of the problem in some way, shape, form. I didn't do that, but if I had to look at all of the young dudes that was doing the bullshit, I was a part of them. Same thing happens here. No matter how I shape whether or not, I meant good to save my man, a problem happened because of our chosen lifestyle. It raised the probability of us getting hurt or our lives being effectively destroyed as a byproduct of our decision making. Yep.
So you got out came home, the police told you they pretty much saved your life.
That's on bail.
Out on bail.
Right, that's on bail. And crazy, I had the fastest process to go back to jail that you could think of. So I'm trying to prolong it as long as possible, but they like, man, we want to go straight to trial. So, dudes be on bail for like a year or two. Mine's like 4 months. I'm like, yo, I don't want to go to trial. Yeah, I want to wait. So I get to trying to get extensions. They, nah. So I get in there and I lose. I go to trial for attempt to use and a possession. I beat the attempt to use, lose to the possession. Judge is telling my lawyer, he's like, oh, he need to go home and get his family affairs. And no, he's going to jail today. And this is a result of the detective saying that, I really intended on using the gun. They think they know me, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, shh. So my lawyer like, well, that's grounds for appeal, Your Honor. He said, well, appeal it. But he'll be in jail in the meantime. I said, shh, don't even worry about it. Let me finish this thing up. So I end up getting a 2 flat after I beat the attempt to use. So I get a 2 flat. Come home a little early for a work release. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I have to make a decision on what's going to happen with the rest of my life. Now, right now, I get home, I have every intent on being a janitor. Like,
fuck that.
I'm not going to be a janitor, but I don't know what job I'm going to get. I don't know what I'm going to be.
That ain't in the streets.
I'm not going in the streets. It's quiet for the streets. I'm cool. This little skid bid was cool. Now, my jail stay, smoother than ice. Like, I had a half a fight through argument. Like, I ain't really have to throw no blows. Respect was there. People, they knew of me and I got treated accordingly. Like, and I'm not saying that in a boastful way. I mean, I was fortunate that I didn't have no enemies enough that somebody right. So, worked out, chill, read my books, stayed out the way. Like, trouble finds you when you look for it, right? So, I ain't do nothing super flamboyant in there. I was just chill out. So, get out. I'm like, all right, my main thing is to stay super positive. I'm gonna go get a job and start a new life. I got my daughter to consider. I left her for a little while, and that was a no-no for me because in my book, a good father is there to be a father, exactly. Right? a good father anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be a good father. I wanted to be dad. I wanted to be all of the positive attributes that come with fatherhood. I let my friends that I love, because some of my friends I love more than my family members. And now I mean no disrespect to my family members.
But it's just it's different.
It's a different bond that you share with some of these guys that allow you to make decisions that might be counterproductive to your overall benefit. And not naming, but that show I named on there about who talked me into it, but I think I did anyway. It was legit though. There's statute of limitations, stuff like that, but it's legit. so like, respect. So my man, he said, yo, hey, we gotta, get back into it for a second. You know what I'm saying? Just do something. So after a while I succumbed to the pressure. One, out of what I felt like was obligation to my friendships, and then two, I could have used the extra money, right? But I make the decision to go back. I go back, and then from our few joints, we start doing too many joints. We had, so many sales that we ain't never even have enough joints. So it was getting a lot, but it wasn't even
enough to.
It wasn't even
supply.
enough.
The supply didn't even match the demand. Was way bigger than the supply.
The demand was always bigger than the supply, and we made a lot of money in a short period of time. But when I came home from jail, I was already under investigation, basically, because some dudes in the Bronx, no disrespect to the Bronx, no disrespect to the whole now. No disrespect to the Bronx. All right, come on now, work with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, some dudes in the Bronx, they found themselves in a jam, and they put my name in there. I know a dude named Aron. He only sell keys. That was the tagline in my paperwork. Like, Aron only sell keys, and the investigation started from there. So initially, I wasn't even doing shit by the time they was looking to get me on something. Then I started, and then. When it heated up and they got all of this extra surveillance going, from bugs in my car to just following me everywhere, I was already quit. So it was like I was under investigation before I started. Then I quit before they got all of the technology involved to kind of wrap the case up. So in that time frame, I went as hard as I could, because now my mind state was, all right, I'm going to do this last favor for my friends, or my brothers, if you will, and I'm going to make enough money to actually do some of the plans that I had in mind all along. And that was my objective.
And then they got you.
Then they got me. So this was a different kind of experience, because now, you hear all those stories about, when the feds get you, they already know everything. And when the feds get you, it's over for you. And now, some people think I'm arrogant. They think that, I got this level of I don't care in me that it allows it to look like nothing's bothering me. But when I get locked up, they came right at me like, yo, Aron, we know you was hitting everybody with the work, and you're in a lot of trouble, man, and you need to go ahead and cooperate, right? That big C word immediately, right? So I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, that shit, that's not for me. Cool. Get inside. They come back again. Like, look, man, let's have a meeting. Ain't no meetings. You know what I'm saying? I don't got nothing for you guys. All in all, the discovery comes. I look at the discovery. It's a bunch of phone calls, 40,000 phone calls. It's a bunch of evidence. But I'm like, where's mine? Yeah. Like, I see a lot of evidence, but I don't. Where's the shit that said I did something? Yeah. Phone call, drugs ain't no drugs on the table, ain't no money on the table, it's nothing. I'm like, oh nah, ain't no way I'm taking those 20 years that they offering me. Like, ain't no way. So I'm like, yo, man, I'm going to trial. So, hey, the next thing was, yo, he bugged out. Like, yo, you know, when them people get you, they got you. And I'm in agreement to an extent because I've started businesses at that point. I had some group homes down south, invested in a couple of other people businesses. I had some things that was positive that could speak for me. And I was using Burt Bedell as my, accountant. So good old head, right? He was sharp with his stuff. So I wasn't that nervous, but what happened was I spoke to my lawyer candidly, and I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. I'm a young black kid, and this is gonna look like a young black nigga selling drugs. Like this is gonna be the push of
the whole narrative.
Right. You got so many people hanging around me that were selling drugs. It's not gonna be that easy to say I was number 10. You know what I mean? Like, and more importantly, they made me the leader of these guys. So I'm the head of the case, and my lawyer like, look, you got property and money in the bank, and they don't, or not enough of, or I can't speak to what they had. I don't know to that extent, but
it just doesn't seem like
it. Right, like
seems
yo,
like
it seems right. It was not enough businesses and enough things speaking for this whole picture to allow you to get out of it unscathed. And I'm like, nah, that makes sense to me, and I'm willing to take the time. Just not what they offering because it don't make sense. So what's on the table versus what they want to give me. So I was willing to go to trial because I wasn't going to sign my name to a paper to ask for 20 years for not 20 years worth of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So my decision to go to trial was like, man, fuck that. I'm with it. Like they gonna have to. I'm at the blow force, and they send me in there screaming based on the extra 5 I might have got or the extra 10, but I wasn't going to sign a 20 and just be sitting. I would still been in there. I would have been chilling. I probably would have just been getting out now. I would have been getting out now. So at the end of the day, we got 3 days from trial, and the journey in there was the same difference. Even though it was a pre-trial situation, it was a lot of people that liked me, you know what I'm saying? I bumped into a lot of people I know. I had a few co-defendants in the building, and it was a smooth situation. We all just had to focus on our case, gather all of the evidence we could to fight the case accordingly. Now, after the cop-out, I go to the prison. Oh, so 3 days before trial, they come with the offer. Hey, man, tell your client 151 to 188. He don't argue down. We won't argue up. Let the judge do what the judge gonna do. The guidelines became advisory, so in the federal system, it was a time where you got sentenced according to your guidelines. So, meaning, if you got the mandatory minimum of 10 years, and your guidelines came back to 168 to 210, that would be like basically you're gonna be landing on 15 years or better. And I landed on that, like, at a point, and I'm like, so you saying if I cop out, right, and the judge give me 200 months, I'm stuck with that. He like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, now I'm cool on that. We're going to still go. You know what I mean? How you taking that? So I get a visit. Young lady I showed you in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Get a visit. She's crying. I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? She like, they offered you a good deal and you won't take it. And, your lawyer said you being unreasonable. I'm like, for real? What was the good deal? I don't remember. 168 to 210, 2-point leadership, 2-point obstruction of justice. I said, man, listen, at the end of the day, I'm going to be in jail. You probably last a whole 6 months at best. Don't come in here and give me advice again. Like, you take that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes a matter of these are my circumstances, and nobody could massage you into being agreeable to the amount of time you're facing. Yeah. Right. So you have to just be willing to deal with your lot, right? And at the end of the day, 3 days before trial, it came with that 151 to 188. I'm like, well, shoot, 12 and a half years, I got 3 in already. That shit easy. Like this, I'll knock this over. Even though when they read the months off in the courtroom, my mother and them in there like, what's that? What's 130? Yeah, like. So I'm like, yeah. So the judge, like, yeah, you don't deserve 151. I'm gonna break it down to 131. She didn't say shit, but I'm gonna break it down to 131, and you know, I recommend you get the drug program because I don't let them know I sniff coke and smoke weed, and even though I'd never been high in my life, that was the best part of the, you know, how to get out a little early via drug program. And that was it. That was my journey. And I got in the system.
So when you got in the system, right?
Yeah.
You know, you already been trying to transition out of the game.
Right.
So when you got in the system, you had 131 months to sit down. And what was that time like for you? Like, what did you do with your mind? What did you prepare yourself? What did you say to yourself? What was your process? Because a lot of times either you do the time or you let the time do you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Either you get into prison shit or you focus so much on outside on what are you going, you know, what am I going to do when I get home? Like, what was your process like?
Right. So it's like being outside, right? Except nobody's going nowhere. So that level of camaraderie, it kind of intensifies because
see the same person every day.
Every single day.
Every day. It's not no days that you miss.
You have to share your ups, your downs, your aspirations, your failures, your weaknesses. You sharing it with these people constantly. The ones you attract to, the ones that you form a common bond with. Mm-hmm. And if that person somehow happens to be a little bit more negative than your frequency, it may throw your positive direction off.
That's a fact.
Okay. My journey started off in the law library. So a guy that was very intelligent bumps into me early on during my process. He was fighting a 848 case. I didn't have an 848 case. I had an 841 B1A, and that's 5 a kilo or more conspiracy. But initially, I was charged with 150 kilos or more. But by the time I copped out to a flat 50 keys. The dude is on his case every day. He's transcribing all the phone calls. He's reading through all of these affidavits made by the U.S. attorney that could dispel some kind of mistake on when they apply for this application or this, that, and the third. So I'm going through the same process he's going through in real time. All of my pre-trial time was based on trying to get out. Yo, I ain't do this. I ain't had nothing to do with this. I look at, it's 8 different people selling the drugs. It ain't even me. Oh, they bugging. Like, I'm going through the whole, which was true. Mm-hmm. But in order to argue all of these facts, one, you're going to have to be in trial. 2, you have to be able to defend yourself without hurting anybody else. Mm-hmm. It's so many things that come into play while trying to keep it real, right? So at some point, my best friend got subpoenaed and my lawyer office got subpoenaed because they gave me the job when I got on work release, and they following me. They like, when you went to the office. So it's like somebody got to answer some of these questions. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to put nobody through these things, these changes, and over my stupidity. So that being said, when I took the cop out, I felt relieved that it would alleviate them from any further scrutiny, if you will. Mm-hmm. Now, my process of fighting that case was that. So my mind was already, I'm conditioned to stay so far out the way that I'm not worried about what's going to happen when I get on the pound. I know that I'm going to be in my books preparing for tomorrow and working out and staying poised. I'm eating raw vegetables until they cut the common feel off. I'm a bowl of oatmeal for heart health. Like, I wanted to get out as young as I went in. Like, mm-hmm. That was the mission. Like, if I could get out with a semblance of youth, I feel good. Like, happy to say I came out without a gray hair at the time. You know what I'm saying? So then I I bumped into older guys that had been in jail since 1988, 1982, and they telling me, "You won. You won." That's how I came up with the title for the book.
Won.
You won, man. You came in young. You're going out young. You won, man. I said, "Yeah, I already won, huh?" So I'm like, all right, fine. I took that, as gospel because these guys get up with this strength every day to prepare for a tomorrow that wasn't promised to them. They had life sentences. Yet they got up every day as if they was getting out the day after that. And I'm like, shit, if they gonna be that prepared to get out,
I definitely
right.
do, what am I'm actually getting out.
I know I'm getting out. I got this said on the paper right here.
Said I'm going home.
Man, and I could make this even better when I finish the drug program. I'm calculating the whole 2 years off. I'm going for a year halfway house, and I'm gonna get transferred down south. They giving the whole year out for the drug program. They don't do that in New York for real. So I'm like, I'm gonna get out 2 years earlier. And they gave me 21 months off for that. So it was great. But Fair Sentencing Act kicked me down to 10 years, and that got me out without really needing a drug program. But the fact that I completed it already just helped right. So, yes, the whole time I'm in there, super poised. I met all of the knuckleheads. I met the sharp ones. I met this, but a common theme kept happening. And that common theme was the guys that, and this is no disrespect to these guys, I once looked up to, if looking up to is the right phrase, or I admired some of these guys' movements. The closer I got to them, I didn't admire it no more. It was this mindset that I didn't agree with. It wasn't building on anything. And the one thing that I would say is I'm like, the respect level is not going to wane because I disagree with your true mission, but I can't follow something that's not going to be right. So I wasn't that eager to be involved with people's agenda or be friends with too many people. And I respect the journey they went through because it took a level of strength to say, I made these decisions and I'm taking life sentences or 30 years or 20 years or whatever it is. And I respect that. But I had this new sense of worth for myself. So when I found out I had a different goal in mind for my life, it made me focus on that goal more.
And you said you stayed secluded away from even the individuals you once admired that probably was like, yo, what's up? And you're like, nah, because we ain't even on the same wavelength. Like, right. What I'm trying to do and you trying to do is different. No disrespect.
No disrespect.
But I'm just over here with mine. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I did my bid too. So I understand. It was like, I know that this ain't for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas is trying to make this for you. You trying to live off. None of this is for me.
Right.
Like, I got shit to do outside. I got kids. I got a whole mind of things that I need to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that was your mindset. Like, I'm definitely getting out of here and I'm going home. Because you was already on that. That's where you was before that until you
had businesses.
So at that point when you was in jail, did you make up your mind that I don't care who I love, I can't put myself in jeopardy to help them? Do you realize? Because that's what's, when I listened to your story, that's what it was about. Your love for everybody else and you feeling obligated to make sure that you provided and did things for them. So when you got into that situation, did you make up your mind that wasn't happening no more?
Yes. That was the biggest part of my transition. I knew that I was still going to love some of these people. It's not like you wake up and be like, I don't love them anymore. You love them still. They're your people. Like, dude, like, I sure hope nobody play with them because I might have to suit up with them. No disrespect. Like, you still kind of base some of your journey with these people in extremes. We live by extremes. Everything was life or death.
Mm-hmm.
All of our relationships, if you look back on most street guys, all of the relationships you make a life or death friendships.
That's a fact.
Somebody come get you, stand in front of the mailbox on your block chilling, and they like, yo, this nigga try in front of me. You like, who?
You get down, yeah. By the time you turn, the nigga probably coming up the block.
I remember a dude ran in this little apartment we used to be in. Yo, these dudes did XYZ. Everybody start getting up like, where, who here? What? I'm like, whoa, look. He's a troublemaker.
Yeah.
I guess we not considering the facts that he may have started this.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen. You take the gun.
Yeah.
You go do what you got to do. If you feel that strongly about this, you go ahead and set it off then. Nah. He ain't want to do it for himself.
Yeah, he wanted everybody else to run.
So these are the things that you got to take into consideration sometimes. Like, how much do you love your life? And how much new information did you gather that's going to help you say no to putting your livelihood in jeopardy? So, cool. I'm sturdy now, and now I'm using the term sturdy as if it don't mean that you're a pushover. It means that you're not a pushover mentally. So that form of manipulation or that form of limited thinking and beliefs that will allow you to make a decision against yourself and your family and all of the positive things you could be giving back to the community as a result of your journey, you can't just say no to that. These are big time things. That's what make gangsters.
That's right.
This is what make gangsters. Gangsters don't necessarily put destruction in your hands and say, go for it. They supposed to be the ones making a better way for everybody. So now I don't use the word gangster lightly if it's a such thing. If I could associate myself with whatever my definition of gangster is, it means that I want to build on something positive. I want to be the one that say, yo, kid, I see you got a hell of a knockout punch, and you think that got to lead to you having a hell of a trigger finger. You don't need that. If you that tough, read this book. Don't let nobody push you over in negotiations when you go to talk about your contract. And I've seen guys, succumb to those kind of pressures too. They might have been physically tough, but mentally weak and go get a whack contract, even though they was physically capable of having this level of aggression that some people might have called them tough, but then they couldn't even negotiate terms with somebody that was in power based on money. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a lot to what gangster is that's not used in real definition. And I'm not going to belabor the point, but you used to have these group sessions. Like, you ever had ART or right? So I know you had a violent crime, so ART was a part of the sentencing suggestions. So I had ART too, but my jail didn't have ART, so thereby I skipped that. But in the feds, they had another version of ART. But I get in there and I used to ask people. I'm like, yo, and these are sturdy guys, the realest of the realest. And I'm like, what if you found out everything that you learned in life thus far was wrong? What if all of the principles and stuff we stood on and found out they was wrong? Would we have the power to go back and address them? Will we have the kind of the same energy to go back and find new answers that we had when following some of these suggestions? And that's what I used to get pushback. It used to be, I'm saying, be like, yo, everything I did for my people. And I'm saying that's how I'm like, yo, I can't knock that, but I'm asking you.
A question.
Right, I'm asking you.
Just hypothetically.
Does your son benefit from everything you did? Because my daughter used to ask me to put her to sleep, and it was quiet for that.
Exactly.
I used to be like, Daddy can't right now. And my relationship with her is strained to this day because we don't understand each other. So every time every
time we say we're doing it for our family, you're doing it for this, when you're not there, you can't do shit for your family.
And it gives everybody an excuse to not be accountable to you or not be accountable to the relationship you want to build with them after the fact. There. You failed them.
Yep.
You failed them. I don't care if you did it for them. Now you did it to them. So I have to, wake up to that realization every day. Now my daughter is 21 years old. She don't have a mother because her mother died, young. God bless her. And then she had a father that was absent for a lengthy period of time. And that absence has created such a divide in our understanding that if it's something really, really minuscule, could destroy our whole thread because the thread is so thin. And that is a result of my decision making in my journey, no matter how much I meant well. So
that has to hurt. Like knowing that
it hurts. My daughter needs support. She need rescuing. She need
all type of shit that you can't even give her in full capacity because the relationship is not strong enough to even be able to give it to her like you want to give it to her.
And when you start talking with a heightened sense of passion, you talking to somebody in a threatening mode, they think. Because they don't know all of the nuances of your character. So you look like whatever monster they made you in your absence. So if anybody ever says something, that resonates with them.
Wow.
If anybody, for anybody's opinion of you, it resonates more than what you're going to say about yourself or even the example that you're setting, because they're going to find a way to say that's only because. And, these are the hardships you're going to have to deal with as a result of these decision making, your decision making. And I try to reverse these. I can't reverse it, but I'll try to make amends for my original journey to this journey. Now, do that mean we're gonna have a good relationship because I'm trying? No, it don't mean that.
Never mean.
But it don't stop me from continuing to give it to somebody else that might be more agreeable to hearing it at this time. So I'm gonna keep practicing. I'm gonna keep saying the good things to people that might be more agreeable to the message today, and then some of those things might get to her. So I'm still excited. Like it's not. I don't.
You didn't give up, but
right.
you just understand the reality of where the relationship lies right now. So you just trying to figure out different strategies,
right?
And that's what it's about. So you went inside prison and you focused. You understood the mistakes you made. You said, me trying to live for everybody else, me trying to please everybody else, me not putting Aron first, me not understanding my reality, and whatever decisions I make, I got to deal with the consequences. I don't care what nobody else is saying with the outside. These consequences is only me. I'm sitting in here right now, and nobody else has to deal with those consequences. Even the family that I love, they love me, but they can't do nothing for me. I can't do nothing for them from here. All the things that I'm thinking I'm doing, I realized I really wasn't. Right. So when you made that decision and you started to move in that manner, in prison and over those years that you sat in prison, what was your mindset when you got back into society? How was your transition? Like, what did you find yourself doing differently? What did you say? Like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. Did you have a plan? Did you have one plan? Like, yo, this is what I'm doing, and did you follow it out, or did you get out here and then started figuring out what you want to do? Like, what was the process?
It's interesting. So I'm speaking to a young lady, right? Beautiful young lady. She was a friend of mine since high school. I said, it's kind of unfair how I'm positioned. I said, you got a dude. Your dude probably make 60 grand a year. Let's give him 65 to be generous. And you probably on 45, 50. Let's, be generous to you. And he probably paid 60% of the bills. You get a chance to keep some of your money. You get a chance to contribute to your household. You guys have this relationship that, for all intents and purposes, is supposed to last the test of time. I said, but some people think they love me. But if I got out tomorrow and I go get the little apartment on 152nd and 8th, get the little Honda Accord joint, bees on it, pit bull, make 90 grand a year perhaps, you'll look at me and say, Aron, you underachieving. And I'm chilling with my little 90, like I'm chilling. But somebody is gonna look at you because you set this standard for yourself. And albeit you as a young man, you managed to see some things that wasn't common or, normal to some people that never experienced some of these things you might have experienced. Then I got my own ambition. Then I got my own goals. Then I got my own desires for my life. So I had to look at all of these things and I said, well, there's no way. There's no way looking at this resume. No summer job, no job. Who's gonna hire me? It's nobody. This is quiet for that. Is nobody gonna hire this 2-time felon with no job history, no work history? So I said, okay, me understanding that, and I don't want to work for nobody anyway. That wasn't like it. That was one of my ambitions. But I'm like, well, if I want to be, a part of an industry and a culture that did help shape me, it behooves me to use my best attributes. My pencil was always fairly decent in drawing. I thought I had a sense of style that, could at least fight to look cool. And I used those things to say, all right, this would be one business that I could build. I love movies. I was shaped by all of them from Once Upon a Time in America to Godfather. Like, I mean, I'm well indoctrinated with Nino and Romello Scudds. Like I love all of the genres, right? I love, and same Waiting to Exhale. I love Waiting to Exhale as much as I love these joints. Like all of these movies had impact on us. Trading Places, Coming to America, stuff like this. So I love comedy on up to the dramas. It's the culture, right? So I don't view myself outside of that. But I think that the hustler inside of me said, you have to find a way to be a part of that.
The culture.
You have to find a way to be a part of what they gave to you, right? They gave us this part of it. And sure, we can't all do the same job. But there's so much money that's produced in these in the economy as a whole that you could find a portion of it that benefits your mission. So that was my approach to it.
So you came home and what exactly did you do?
So, all right. Initially, I came home and Yandy and Mendici greeted me with the, yo, what's up, man? Like, what we gonna do? I'm like, well, shoot. Let's get Mendici situated. He, you guys are celebrities and I'm not a celebrity. I don't even want to be a celebrity. I just want to be helpful to your journey. And let me see what I could do to be a part of that. So they shared they Rolodexes with me and said, well, figure it out. Whatever it is that you want to do, you kill it, you eat it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was a good challenge. And I started trying to think of things that I could fit or be a part of. And that led me to saying, all right, I like clothing. I'm fairly good in music to help somebody else get to somebody that they want to, be a part of. And also, if opportunities should come in the movie field, I could apply whatever little change I get my hands on to being a part of the production. So it was so many ways I was trying to fit. And so I did some of all. I don't even know if I had enough resources for that, which I'm sure I did not have enough. I look at my.
But you figured it out.
Nope, I ain't have enough resources. So, but you go fight. You fight and you figure it out. Like small victories add up, and those seeds make trees. And after a while, people will call it genius when something clicks and it just went through the natural progression of maturity, right? And people say, yo, kid is a hustler. But no, it was hard. Like, and I'm watching what I say because some people could take this offensively. as a community, we don't like to make stuff no more. We think that sewing clothes as a job description is menial. And we want to be the person directing people to do
You want to
this.
be everybody's the boss.
Right? So I had to go all the way to LA to be a part of the community that didn't look down on that level of service. So I couldn't find many black people. I ain't even gonna hold you. Couldn't. Just didn't know where they was at. Couldn't find them. A lot of people I ran into were Mexicans. Now, Mexicans, they work with you. Now, it's supposed to be a little racial divide. I have no experience with that. I mean, outside of jail. Jail is
everything.
Yeah,
is
segregated. Everything was segregated. And I still was super cool with the Mexicans in jail. Right.
Me too.
Right. But out there in LA, I hung with one guy in particular. He showed me everything from cutting and sewing to the whole process of constructing a garment. So I use these skills. They're very usable skills, but they're also, it was a way of making a business. So I could not only do mine, but I could do for others. Sure, I ended up doing it for others more than I was doing it for myself. So especially when the pandemic came in, because more people needed that service because so many parts of the world wasn't available to them. It made me money, actually. It was crazy. But yeah, so me sitting down there, that's a level of going to school. No, I didn't get a certificate.
But you sat down and learned.
I sat down and learned.
That's cool.
And my people was like, yo, he bugging. Like, he's just hanging around. He got sewing machines and shit. Like, he bugging for real. But people can't always see
your vision, man.
They might.
So you came home was like, listen, I'm getting to this fashion. You know what I'm saying? I know a little thing about movies. I'm going to figure out how I can dibble and dabble in that.
Right.
You got your book.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a dope book.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Guys' clothing. Like, I still ain't got my hat, but it's cool. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? It's in the car. Okay.
It's in the car.
You know what I'm saying? You got guys, and you in the movie that you're an investor in the movie.
Yes. So the movie is coming out tomorrow. It's called Aurora. It's actually a really great project. Noel Calloway directed. He did a great job. I'm happy to be a part of it. And when it is, people will see some humor, love story, and it just changes the narrative of all shoot 'em up, bang bang, because that's not all we are.
That's right.
Right? So we could get to that. I know a bunch of those stories too, but I love. Like
that's right.
It resonates with me. So, I wanted to be a part of that kind of movement also. And as you said about the book, I have another book in the works that I think is gonna be a nice sequel, if not sequel, but a nice continuation to You Already Won. Now, You Already Won, I didn't want to do. I kept being nagged by a lady named Donna. Well, I call her Monique. So Monique, she stay on my back. Monique says, listen, Aron, you have to put yourself out there and da-da-da. You got a lot of talent. I'm like, nah, I'm behind the scenes. I want to be Rich Paul. Like, I don't want to be talent. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be on the scene at all. But, through her persuasion, I said, all right, well, I'm going to have to put a little leg out there because I don't have the benefit of being around such, being by myself at this point in the journey. I didn't have the benefit of being attached to such a power source that I was able to. Right.
So you had to figure.
I had to put a little leg out there. And so it made me write the book. And I thought to, use some of the things that happened in my life or just common phrases that people used in my neighborhood that might seem like a one-liner, but it meant so much more. So I used that as inspiration to write the first book, but I have so much more to share that I hope that people enjoy going forward.
So listen, for me, you're a testimony, right? Because there's this stigma that, when you incarcerated, that you just don't have a chance. You know what I'm saying? You're negative. You know, when you check, like, you used to go to look for jobs, and they said, "Were you ever incarcerated?" It's like, "Oh, we definitely don't want nothing to do with him."
Right.
Right, and you defy that stigma. You know what I'm saying? You are an individual who most of his life was taught things. You know, we glorified things that we thought was right, but we realized that it was a dead end.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you tried to transition as you grow. You know what I'm saying? Youth is sometimes we just so oblivious to realities in our youth, and we just move off energy without even any level of wisdom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you showed the process of growing. You know, each step you was like, damn, I need to get out of this. First, you aspired, like, I just want to be the biggest drug dealer. I want to, and then you was like, this shit ain't nothing.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to transition, and then ultimately, unfortunately, you had to sit down and you had to regather and you had to restructure your mindset, and then you came back out here, you showed different.
Right.
You said, nah, I'm not attaching myself to anything that doesn't mean good for me. I don't need to make anybody happy that's going to do something to ultimately harm me. I don't have to live for nobody but Aron, because I can't help nobody if I don't help Aron. You know what I'm saying? You came out here and you're a testament to show that when you re-enter society, when your mind is structured properly, when you are driven, when when you believe in you can do anything.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? And you continue to be an entrepreneur. Book,
Right.
clothing, movies, and you still every day you still doing things. Every time I look, I'm like, damn, this thing ain't doing something else. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I see you in circles around people who can do things. And you have a likability. You know what I'm saying? You have a likability that when you're around you just feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I know that you're destined for more and more success, and you constantly keep growing. So I just want to celebrate that, and I want people to hear your story, because Aron is a person. Aron is a legend. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, sir.
The legendary
man.
You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't know the full, scope of your story. And I just want people to sit down and hear. You one of those people that I believe that somebody's gonna hear. Some young boy who's on the trajectory is gonna hear and be like, damn, that sounds like me. You know what I'm saying? And maybe you can circumvent certain stages. You can get him while he 12 and 13 and circumvent. He don't gotta go through all that shit. He could just get to where you are now and be like, I can use these same attributes that I got to do something positive. I can start a clothing line. I can write me a book. I can get into movies. I can get me a camera, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to project. I want to show people, man, that you don't have to do the negative things. And then when you do the negative things and you find yourself behind that wall, when you come back out in society, you don't have to go back to that. There's so many different opportunities and so many different ways for us to be successful, man. And I just want us to understand that. And I want y'all to use Aron as an example of what success can be after you make mistakes. We all fall, and so we're not defined by our weakest moment or our worst times. That's what society wants to do. They want to define you by the worst time that you've had, and you're not defined by that. Right. So I appreciate you. I'm motivated by you. I want to interview people that motivate me. You know what I'm saying? Not just be trendy or all this. And I want to interview people that most people may not even know that have done things that motivate. You know what I'm saying?
May I add to this?
Yes, you can, King.
So I thank you for the legend tag.
Yeah.
I never give myself.
You're not supposed
to.
You're never supposed to.
I don't even play with the word. I think that there's some legends out there, right? That I tip my hat to, right? And maybe I'm not giving enough credit to the Biggs and Jay-Z's and
legends,
and Jamal Mashburns,
legends.
And I spoke to Mash not too long ago, and I said, man, the example you set helped me. Like, that man retired from the NBA and started businesses on top of businesses on top of businesses. Granted, some people have the opposite story, that they retired from the NBA and went broke. So the thing that you do with your opportunity, to me, makes you a legend. I have
exactly
so
what it
much
is.
to close out before I consider myself.
Well, you saying
anything.
close? I'm just saying. I think legendary in the fact that Aron survived, right? Aron went through some of the harshest times when people didn't survive. You know, Aron was in prison and he didn't let the time do him. He did the time. Aron made conscious decisions. Aron didn't come home looking for validation. Aron didn't say, "Yo, I gotta come home and I gotta be who y'all want me to be. So let me go back." Aron realized that shit ain't about nothing.
Respect.
You know what I'm saying? And I watch Aron, and for the most part, Aron's circle is very small. You know what I'm saying? Aron is with 2 or 3 people, or he's by himself, and he's trying to build. That's legendary to me.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that you know that there's a lot of us that pay attention. You know, and that's why I created Sit Down with the Stand-Ups, because it's a lot of stand-up individuals that don't see themselves anywhere. They go to these podcasts or whatever. And the dudes they interview and they talking about it, like, I don't see nothing in me in that. I don't even, none of that shit he talking about. He's trying to glorify and all type of bullshit. And I'm not that. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to see what stand-up looks like. This is what stand-up individuals do. They acknowledge, they hold themselves accountable. You know, there's so much self-accountability here. Like every time you did something, well, I got to hold myself accountable. Or I did it. You ain't blame nobody else. Well, I did this wrong and I did this and I had to deal with this and I'm going to sit and it's always on the I, and that's what stand-up individuals do. So, in that regard for me is legendary. And the fact that anywhere that you go, for the most part, if it's a stand-up individual, they know A. You know what I'm saying? And they know that he carries himself. They're going to have the same story every time you talk about A. It's going, oh, nah, that's A. A is official. A is a stand-up dude. He's a good dude. You know what I'm saying? Like that, when your name circulates throughout the world and that's what they say about you everywhere, 9 out of 10 is probably one person that's just mad at you for something because you probably had something to do with his girlfriend or something. But you know what I'm saying? We know that probably happened.
That was childish. That was my childish.
That was your childish ambitions.
Childish
but for the most part, that's what they're going to say, man. So I just want to celebrate you and say
thank you, sir.
I appreciate you and keep on going, man. You're an inspiration, man, and I'm glad that you are our first guest in here on Sit Downs with the Stand-Ups, man. So stay tuned, man. Make sure that you tune in with Aron. He's on Instagram. He's doing a lot of things. Make sure that you follow him. Pay attention to his journey. Young kids, listen to his story. Hope that it can motivate you and it can deter you from certain things. You know, this is about education. We want you to hear the realities of our stories and our life and our trials and tribulations and take that and don't make the same mistakes we made. You know, our job is to help you circumvent those mistakes. I say it all the time to my young boys. I'm a cheat sheet through life. You know, if you just take this sheet and you listen to what I'm saying, you ain't got to make the mistakes I make. You can get to where I'm at now without making none of the mistakes. So tune in to the next episode. Sit Down with the Stand-Ups. Shout out to my boy A. Love you, King.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I need my guy's hat.
Yes, sir. I got you.
Yes, sir.
This goes out to you. This goes out to you. This goes out to you.